Thank you, Alex Amezcua, for joining me for this conversation today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. I want to light a candle for you, Alex. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. You are a storyboard artist, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me how you got into art, and then how did you find that career?
Yeah, one day I was walking in a forest at night, and at the stroke of midnight, there was a full moon, and I got bit by a radioactive snake while at the same time getting struck by lightning. I was trying to draw this Spider-Man at home, and I did very well. I was like so proud of myself. It was an artist by the name of Eric Larson. He used to draw Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And probably like 1990, 91-ish. And I did such a good job on it. I didn't like trace it, put it side by side. And so it came out awesome. I was like so proud. I still have it somewhere. But the next day I was going to go show my friends at school, but I totally forgot it. And I was like, damn it. So I started drawing what I could remember on my desk.
Yeah.
And I was in 6th grade. And it was going so well that I couldn't stop. So I did the whole thing over, but on my desk.
Whoa. And
then the teacher walks by, and I try to hide it. And she tells me, can I see you after class? I'm like, She's all, no, don't erase it. And I was like, oh, man, I'm busted. But she really liked it, and she gave me like $5 to draw her kid a birthday card, which was like really like it. That little memory itself motivated me so many times when things got tough. I was like, I would always honestly go back to that little moment and was like, she saw something in me, so I should continue, But I wish I could tell her about that, and because that was a huge thing for me. But yeah, so it came out very well. And through that moment, I realized oh shit, there's something else here, because I remembered it the next day, and the way I remembered the lines in my mind, I knew it wasn't it felt differently from what I was doing the night previously, which was copying and transferring. I was like, wow, I could actually remember all the lines I laid down previously. So with that, I started drawing on my own more and more often, and just from my mind. But I would also still use reference to learn, and then go off on my own, and that helped a lot. And then I saw this commercial after that, because I couldn't figure out what to do with this talent. And I saw a commercial of 501 Jeans back in the day, and it was a commercial about people with weird jobs. There was a guy that threw fish in Seattle. He was a fish catcher. Have you seen those guys where they throw them in the deli and the guy has a paper and they catch it? He's like, that's what I do. I catch fish. And there was that commercial, and then there was another one with a guy named Rob Liefeld. He was a very young comic book artist at the time. He was drawing X-Force, and he was the creator of Deadpool, which is super huge now, probably the biggest comic book hero. But I was following him from that one Spike Lee commercial, and from there I just collected comic books and just tried to get down the way they did things stylistically, and the process. And the hardest part, I think, for me was to get the visual muscle to visualize different camera angles, different heights, and what they do with the emotions, to tell a story with pictures and not using any words, and still being able to convey what is going on. That part was very hard to learn, because I would also watch movies a lot and pause it and not trace, but kind of draw that angle and write notes as to why he was using this angle here.
And why did you do that? How old were you when you started doing that?
14, 15.
Because
13.
you wanted to create your own comic books?
I think at the time I already knew that was, I was very passionate, no doubt about it, but I knew I wanted to get out of Santa Paula, mainly. Because I also had a lot of cousins in Los Angeles, and when I went to go hang out with them, there was a lot, that's when I noticed there was way more options for them and their friends and what they would talk about, you know? Like, oh, I want to go, like, fix my motorcycle. I'm like, I don't even know anyone who has a motorcycle that, you know, races and does all this stuff. They had so much going on. And then I go back to town, and I was like, dude, we're just kicking rocks here, you know?
Yeah.
And I just didn't, since I knew that was already out there, I wanted to work towards that direction. So that was my main motivation, but also I loved art. It was, like, so fun. I was really always in my room, like, literally just doing that. Just trying to, like, broaden my visual memory, mainly.
And what was your family environment like? Was it, were they encouraging? Did you share this desire with anyone that you wanted to get out of that?
Yeah, and it wasn't very nurturing, you know. My parents are both from Mexico, so I think to them that idea was far-fetched. Like, there's no way, like, that's not going to happen. And I remember just having conversations with my dad. I'm like, Dad, but, like, you know, I'm young right now, and the people that are making the art are eventually going to die. They need to be replaced, you know. We're not all, you know, trying to share the same spotlight, you know. We're on a conveyor belt.
Wow.
So, like, yeah, and also one thing I found, like, a lot of things I didn't understand then was how, like, economies affect family households and all that stuff. And a lot of the blame at the time I put on my parents for being so stressed out. But now that I'm older, I can see, you know, why those things were happening. Not that they were, like, majorly abusive, but they were, like, very absent in certain times, which is why, like, I held so dearly to that memory with my teacher, because that's, like, one of the only motivational things I had to hold, you know. But yeah, as time goes on, I kind of forgave a lot of those things, but also I was hanging around with a lot of bad people, but not really bad, really. It was just that they didn't have fathers, you know, they didn't have dads. And the thing that I found strange was that I did have a dad, but I was hanging out with all the kids with no dads. You know, and that's something I picked up back then. I'm like, why is that happening? Like, that's kind of weird. And later I realized it's just like my dad was, like, really absent, not by choice. It was just like, again, you know, people have to work, and he was working a lot. So I didn't really have that part coming up to guide me, you know. So a lot of that also got in the way of me getting to where I wanted to be, you know. And it could have been done faster, I feel, if I had the right things in play, like support and some guidance, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah. I completely understand, and thank you so much for sharing that. And it takes a lot of inner strength from your spirit to persevere despite the closest people to you not nurturing that. So good job. Yeah.
But the thing is, like, with me, I'm a Taurus, and I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but I never let that stuff get me down. There was a lot of times where I went to the comic book convention and I showed them all my best work that I had at the time. And um, they would all say, "Oh, you're about like 100 pages away about, being moderately good, you know?" And sometimes it was really, horrible reviews. But on the drive home, I wouldn't, it's a 3-hour drive coming back from San Diego. I wouldn't mope. It would motivate me. I would want to like get better and like go back the next year and see, boom, what now, fool? But yeah, there's two ways to take it. A lot of people, even now, I see as adults, where they go to get an interview and they're shut down and they just forget that they even tried.
Right.
They just, you know what I mean? They shut down, and I just never had that type of mentality to not continue. It actually got worse. Like if you wanted me to stop, you don't tell me to stop.
Yeah.
You don't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you drove yourself. How old were you when you went to your first comic book convention with the intention to get feedback?
The first year I was 18, and it was so long ago that you could actually park at the comic book convention parking lot.
Oh.
Now that's impossible.
Uh-huh.
Now I don't think park in San Diego laws are going on. Pretty insane. But yeah, I actually checked in the same day, which is another thing you can't do. You have to do it a year ahead. That's how much it has changed. But yeah, 18.
So you were 14 and you started, on your own, you came up with the idea to pause the movies and get different angles and to see what things were conveyed by different angles. You just came up with that on your own just because you were looking at comic books and looking at the different frames. Like, how can I get closer to being able to do that?
Yeah. Yeah. So I used my favorite movies, and like I figured the top movies are on the top for that reason because they're well directed. Yeah. So I would always use like Spielberg movies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And Jurassic Park, Indiana Jones, Star Wars.
So you would draw from the paused screen.
Yeah, and take notes as well. Like when someone enters and you want them to be bigger than life, you shoot from a low angle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or if you want to keep it suspenseful, you'll show like the bottoms of their feet, like walking away from their camera when they're entering the room. Blurred out shoulder.
Yeah.
And show the foreground focused.
Yeah.
Things like that. And then at the last moment, boom, a reveal. Things like this, like people usually don't think of. And it actually got me like really good to the point where nowadays I know when they're trying to show the viewer Easter eggs, like in Marvel movies, they have those a lot. I'm like, oh, that frame was a second too long.
Yes.
There was something in that frame.
Yes.
So like I'll know what the director's trying to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I intuitively have gotten to that point too, as an observer. Just like, that was a little too long. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that though. It makes it fun to go see those movies. I love Marvel movies. So you started. Wow. So you had a TV in your room?
Yeah, I had a TV in my room.
Nice.
Which is also the reason I'm still addicted to SNL and late night shows. Like Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah.
I still watch that to this day.
Yeah, they're nostalgic. Just the vibe, the whole vibe of it.
Yeah.
I think this is really...
Yeah,
Did I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my... Well, when I lived with my mother, she put a TV in my room because it was a babysitter. The TV was my babysitter. Yeah. Yeah. So I would watch PBS shows about like drawing, how to draw. Like there was this one space station or station. I don't know. There was this guy and he would show you how to draw. And I was little 6, 7, 8 perspective and like cool cities in the sky, like space. and how to, make form and how to make something look foreshortened and perspective and all the different, and I'm so grateful that I had a TV in my room because I watched weird shows that taught me how to be more versatile as an artist and planted little seeds that have always stayed in there. And so, but yeah, that's just wild. Do they even teach that tactic in schools for storyboarding now probably, right? Or is that something that's...
Sure they do.
Yeah, but you didn't know that, right? You just figured that out by yourself.
I don't know why, but I wanted to do as much like self-teaching as I could.
Yeah.
I just felt like I really needed the outside teacher. I don't know why. I just didn't. It wasn't necessary for me for that.
I feel the same way.
Like if I was going to do like digital, like say 3D animation, I think that's totally necessary because there's no way you're going to know like commands or there's always something someone can teach you in that because there's a lot of knowledge going on. But with drawing and painting, it's pretty simple. Like it's a brush, paint, and then you keep going until you master it.
So, did you go to art school?
No. I do still self-teach in a way, like I do the drink and draw every now and then, where they have like models, but they're always themed, like dressed like in Tron clothing or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's cool. I haven't done that in a while though. Nowadays, I think I just stay sharp by drawing on my days off.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, okay, so so then what happened? You went to the comic convention and then you went back the next year maybe. But how did you make the connections to do what you're doing now? And what are you doing now?
Okay, from there, I did get a comic book that I worked on, and it wasn't a very good experience. It was a book called The 10th Muse, and it was for a very small publisher who didn't pay well.
How did you get in touch with that?
Through the internet. I remember there was a website called Digital Domain or something like that.
Okay.
Digital something. And a lot of comic book creators would go there and try to find people to work with and who were starting out and whatever. So the pay was horrible. But I kind of feel like I got duped with that experience, and it really took the wind out of my sails. For like a year or two, I didn't do anything. Like, I left a bad taste in my mouth. Like, I associated art with that, so it was weird. And after that year went by, I was starting to miss art again, so I started, and I really went like balls out with that. Then I had like a little life thing because my dad almost passed away, had a heart attack. So that put things kind of on the back burner for art. So I was trying to do something else to get a career going for myself as soon as I could. And I became a draftsman, like an architectural drafter. And I was working in Santa Barbara. And that was very boring. Very boring. And I'd always get migraines from like staring at the computer screen at these like lines, tons of lines, And that really gave me a lot of motivation. And I didn't know what was happening at the time, but this was around 2008 when the housing crisis hit. I don't know if you remember that. But yeah, that happened. So me working with architecture, a lot of people got laid off. And I virtually saw it happening. And I already knew it was going to happen. But thanks to that, Obama at the time had that 2 year where people can get their unemployment benefits, So I thought to myself, you know what, like I never went to college. I'm going to use this time, these 2 years, and I'm going to pretend this is my job. So I get up, and I never even wore a white collar shirt before, but I put on a white collar shirt and like went to my desk, and it was all mainly like psychological, to keep on that path as hard as I could, and to be very serious about it, because I felt it was my last chance. I was 28, so I had 2 years, and I always felt like if I had 2 years, I could do it.
Yeah.
That's what and that's what I mean by support. If you have that support, you can lean on and like not have a job or not have classes or just focus for a little bit, you can get further. And so I knew how important that time was, and I didn't waste it. I did some other comics, digital comics, that I knew I wasn't going to get paid a lot for, but I did them just to stay sharp. And that's when I first started coloring, was around that time. And it was all digital. And then I don't know the guy that hired me for one of his books, he said, hey, why don't you try to get into storyboarding? Because, they get paid a lot better.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, I'm going to give that a shot. And I found a couple of agents online, and I sent them some emails, and I got a reply.
So who's the guy that told you about storyboarding?
What's his name?
Well, how did you meet him?
It was at the another comic book convention in Burbank. It was.
And he saw your work, and he was like, why don't you try storyboarding?
Well, first of all, he wanted me to do some covers for him, which I did for a comic book called Flair.
Okay.
Yeah, and I did that, and then afterwards, that's when he told me, you should be doing this instead.
Yeah.
Because the industry at the time wasn't what it was before. Like in the early 90s, what's happening in the movies right now was happening on paper in the early 90s with the comic books, Like, those artists at the time were like rock stars. And like Todd McFarlane, the creator of Spawn, he's like a millionaire. Rob Liefeld, millionaire. And they were reaching these numbers just selling comic books, which is a lot of motivation, if you're just starting out with drawing.
Yeah. Wow. So then you went online and you found some companies that were hiring storyboarders.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what are you doing now? Like, what are some of the jobs that you've gotten in? How do you have an agent? Do you have someone scouting out work for you? Do you do all this stuff by yourself?
No, with storyboarding, I think that would be very hard. You have to have an agent, because once they use you for that short amount of time, you move on to the next thing. Unless you're doing like movie work, which then you have to be in a union, and I don't know, there's a lot of jumping through hoops to do that. So if you want to get your name, and if it's very important for you to get your name, like on the end credits of a movie, then that's what you do. But I just want to like stay active and just work doing what I like. That part's not that important to me, because I want to work on books later on my own. So, like with my own ideas. So I'm going to need that time anyway to do that. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to be able to jump through hoops basically to do that. But I do have an agent, 2 agents, one on the East Coast and one on the West. Or one on the West, one on the East. Yeah.
So you sent out your portfolio to. My goal is to through asking you these questions to maybe help someone that might want to be on that path.
So what you do is make a online portfolio and just send your link out. You know, I've always thought that it doesn't really matter, honestly, with school. You know, that with art, the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, you literally see with the first 5 pages, and that's all you really need to show. If you're going to send attachments, don't send more than like 5 of your best pieces of work.
How do you find all of these agents to send them to?
There's tons of agencies that you can search on Google, and they're mainly in Los Angeles and New York.
Mm-hmm.
Those are mainly the epicenters of that.
Yeah. Some
are in as well, but mainly it's just New York and Los Angeles.
And did you get any? How many did you send out? Did you get lots of? What were the responses like? What was that process like? Like waiting and reading and seeing and maybe deciding who to go with or whatever.
It first started with a meeting. I met with my first agent that way, and we just spoke, and she just wanted to see me probably and see if I had any VO.
Yeah.
I think in a way they kind of just have to see or this particular agent wanted to see that I could go on like film sets and not get questioned.
Yeah.
Ask why I'm there.
Yeah.
But and also like the stuff I was using, digital stuff, because when I started it was like on the threshold of using paper and going to digital work. Mm-hmm. So I guess meeting in person, we just went on from there, and I got my first gig, which was a week long after that. And it was so funny because it was like one of my best gigs I've ever had, and it was like the first one. It was like for a kids show. Fresh Beat Band. I don't know if you ever saw that. But I had to do a comic that was going to be in the show.
Oh, yeah.
And they were going to be flipping through it.
Yeah.
And they're like jumping in and out of this comic book throughout the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. I got to go out the Paramount set on the back lot and all that stuff. So it was really, really cool.
And so how long have you been with your agencies?
About 10 years now.
Yeah. And so how active are you like this year, this past couple of years? What are you doing?
I'm pretty active. Probably about 2 solid weeks out of the month.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's pretty good.
So you learned discipline from a young age. It just comes from within. That's one of your strengths.
Yeah, I think perseverance is actually even more important than the talent itself. Mm-hmm. Really, because I've seen both sides. I've seen myself, with the same talent doing nothing, and with the same talent doing a lot more when I'm motivated. Mm-hmm. So not taking anything personally. And what I mean by that is like, don't take anything personally. Like when you're starting and someone comes up to you and says, "Oh, I love your stuff." Don't let that affect you as much as I don't like your stuff.
Yeah.
You can't let anyone really tell you how good your work is. You just have to honestly look at it and answer yourself honestly, is that good? Can I do better?
Yeah.
And if you're going to be self-teaching, that's the most important thing you need to do. And a good way to do that, is to hold, when you're done with a drawing, whatever, hold it up to a mirror.
Yes.
Because then you see it again with fresh eyes, and you'd be amazed at the mistakes you find.
It's amazing. When I see my art in the mirror or in the flip screen I'm like, it looks so much worse than I thought it did.
Yeah. Because your brain starts to put things where they're not really at, just to, make it look nice. That's what I realized, because you don't really see it with your eyes, you see it with your brain, you know?
Yeah. And there's that book, Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain, Betty Edwards. It's a great book. She gives all sorts of exercises, like draw something upside down, draw with your left hand, do blind contour drawing, like all these. Those are like the three obvious ones, but really, really cool, creative ways to switch off. Like, instead of like, oh, I'm drawing a tree, I know what a tree looks like, like, no.
Yeah.
Look at the tree, look at the negative space between the branches, look at what's coming forward and what's going back.
Nice.
Yeah. And so I recently have been interested in just the term creativity and what that means to each individual person. And I'm realizing more and more that there's such a wide spectrum of definition possible for creativity. So obviously you're an artist and you're creative, but what would you say your personal definition of creativity is?
Thinking and coming up with the abnormal, I think, is creativity. Like coming from a different angle or thinking out of the box.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just the ability to dream up something that doesn't exist yet.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, that's my main goal, but...
Do you think it's important?
Creativity? Hell yeah.
Why do you think it's important?
Because it's important in every aspect of your life. Creativity can help you dry your dishes faster, you know?
Yeah.
You know, if you're the person that does that, that's, you know, using creativity. Mm-hmm. You know, it can help you out through any part of your life. Make your jobs easier and faster. Or write a book. Or use colors that you shouldn't, but still look great, you know?
I feel that there's a stigma of of the notion of creativity in the majority of people, like that, oh, only a certain amount of people are creative. I'm not creative. And I feel personally that needs to be broken, because I do feel that creativity as well is super important to have a better, more evolved life toward more harmony and efficiency and flow. And so, like, what are some ways that we could instill in, like, the normal person that doesn't feel that they're creative? Like, maybe a couple tips. Like, think about this. Think about it this way.
Recently what's been helping me with that, when I have, like, blocks and stuff, is taking a walk. Or not trying to, that's how creativity works. It doesn't really happen at the second you want it to.
Yeah.
You just kind of have to find, like, inspiration here and there.
Yeah.
And then it amounts, and then it spills over, and then
right.
You have, you know, creativity to work with. But recently I've been going on walks for so long here with my dog, and that helps, just getting out of the house and just getting out of your environment, stepping outside a little bit. That helps me a lot.
Yeah, and I feel that with so much distraction that it may be hard for people to understand that they're creative. But like you're saying, when you get outside and you do something so simple and open, and you're not really thinking or you're not being distracted, your energy is not taken from you. You're able to build up a resource that comes from somewhere, and then it spills out, like you said.
Yeah. And it's also having a relationship, like, with your body, because your body doesn't want to sit and for 12 hours looking at a screen or a paint, an empty canvas. It wants to do other things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even like washing my boat the other day, I like stepped out and like I had so many ideas just doing that.
Just washing your
And
boat.
it was, yeah, it was kind of like it put me in a meditative state, and it got the blood flowing, and like I just had so many ideas where I wanted to stop and just come back in.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just have to maybe like relieve your pressure by not trying so hard sometimes.
Yeah.
And something creativity is weird. I think that's why it's a problem.
Well,
Yeah.
I also think that it can, it has to come from a healthy source. Also, because perhaps creativity could be used to put negative stuff into our environment. Some people that maybe aren't balanced could be really creative, but what are they providing? Like, as an artist, I feel like I have a responsibility. Do you feel like, I feel like we're bombarded all the time with imagery, and they're all planting little seeds inside of everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel an obligation a lot. Sometimes I actually even make like political cartoons, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But just like yesterday, I went out and hung out with some friends I haven't seen in a while. And I don't know, I think everyone's kind of like bombarded, like how you're saying, with politics and news and bad stuff like that. Not that it's bad. I mean, it's good to know what's going on, but I think everyone is being overstimulated right now. And sometimes I'm so happy that I went to school or grew up when I did, because I think that would have gone in the way, possibly. I mean, I'd like to think I wouldn't have been messed up by that, but I think I kind of would have. I would have been delayed a little bit.
I believe, when people were being super creative and coming up with all of these innovative ideas all the time, like in the Renaissance era, or the inventors that were like, in their late teens, early 20s, inventing cool machines and things, to help evolve, to help refine, to help do things more efficiently, to help bring more, and it's like, imagine all the stuff that we could be like contributing, to this, but it seems like, no, we want your attention, so you don't make anything cool, because we are making this stuff, and this is all you get.
Mm-hmm.
That's me being a little crazy. I really believe that we are all unique individual expressions of life, and that there needs to be a permission given to everyone to explore that, and to not feel like, you work with movies, and it seems like there's like a certain type of casting, you see a certain type of thing in popular culture and advertising. There's not much room for a wide spectrum of diversity. And more permission, I think, needs to be given to just like be whatever you are.
Yeah. I think we're getting there.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What is the work that you want to do? What are you working on? You said you make political cartoons sometimes.
Sometimes to like get things off of my chest,
Yeah.
the political cartoons. Hold on, I need to plug this thing in.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
I gave you an edit for later.
Yeah, oh yeah. That's good. Charging. Oh, the audio seems different. Mm-hmm.
Do you hear less or more?
Oh, that's better.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
Yeah, that's better. So I was saying, I wanted to know what are you evolving into? Who are you evolving into? Who is Alex Amezcua going to be in the giant puzzle of the entire population of the world at this time? Like, what is your role? What do you want your role to be?
Wow, that's really deep. That's a really deep one because I've been thinking about that for the last 2 years, you know.
Okay.
Like, what am I going to do? Because I feel like right now in my life, all the things that I wanted to accomplish when I first started, I feel like I've achieved those things, you know.
You're a powerful magician. Look what you can do.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
No, but, like, when you're a kid, you can only see the highest peak from the bottom, right?
Yeah.
And that highest peak was where I'm at now. But now that I'm there, I see other mountaintops from this new, you know, viewpoint.
Yeah.
That I achieved. So now I'm kind of like rubbing my chin and thinking, what am I going to do next? I kind of feel maybe directing. You know, I would really want to do that since I already had the mind. I've already like secretly directed, you know, like a movie, parts of movies and commercials where I don't even see a change in my storyboards from the final, you know. So with that, when I see that, I'm like, oh, well, maybe, you know, I have an knack for this. So I would like to try directing, and I don't have any idea how to start. But I'm sure I can ask people because I'm close to those people. I do want to write a script because I have so many ideas for scripts right now that I'm sure I could get something. And can I tell you why?
Yes.
This is the other story I was going to tell you.
Okay.
Earlier this year, or last summer, I had this idea of a tribute band, a Beatles tribute band that goes back in time somehow to like 1960, right before the real Beatles came out. So the tribute band like knows where they're at and they know the history of the Beatles well. So they start releasing songs like 2 weeks or a month before the real Beatles do. So they're always like robbing them like right before they're writing their music. And they get like super famous, but you know, the real John is out there and the real, you know, McCartney, and they're just like shaking their fists, but they don't have any money to retaliate.
Oh my god. Yeah.
It's supposed to be a comedy, you know, but this year I was watching TV. It was YouTube, and a commercial came on, and it was a movie called Yesterday.
Yeah.
And it starts with the guy, he's playing guitar. And this weird event happens in the trailer that I saw where the power goes out all over the world. And when it comes back on again, no one recalls the Beatles music for some reason. But this guy does.
Whoa.
And he's playing Yesterday to his friends, and they're all, that's beautiful. Who sings that? He's all, Paul McCartney, the Beatles. And they're all like, who is that? And like, he thinks they're joking. So he like Googles Beatles, and the only thing comes up was the insect.
Yeah. And
so I was like, dude, that's my idea. And it literally is like almost identical, except for 4 people. It's one person, and that's about it. And he doesn't travel back in time. Like people have like amnesia or on a mass level. And guess when that movie came out?
When?
May 4th on my birthday.
Oh no!
Yeah. So it was like God rubbing it in. He's probably like telling me, get off your ass and write something.
How long did you have the idea before you saw that?
I had enough time to do something with it, like a year.
Have you read Elizabeth Gilbert's book, Big Magic?
No.
She talks about ideas as living entities that visit you, and you are responsible for birthing them into the reality. And if you don't, they'll go somewhere else.
Yeah, that's what I kind of felt like.
And she gives several examples of true stories of situations like that.
Wow. Well, you can add one more to that.
Isn't that wild? I mean,
wild.
It really takes away the ego of the artist a little bit, because we are just conduits for creativity to come through.
Yeah. And it's funny because there's a lot of artists that say when they're creating, they don't feel like they're the ones creating, but it's going through them.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
That is beautiful. Do you feel like that?
I feel like, sometimes when I'm drawing, like I'm in the zone, or what I call it.
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone else calls it that, where I feel like I'm on autopilot and it's just flowing out of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is really great. Thanks for sharing all of your stories about.
But that experience actually made me feel more like I can actually make a good story, because it kind of feels like it was validated by being made.
It's an amazing idea that you had.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty funny.
And it was way more comical than this new premise.
I'm still watching this one, though. It looks pretty funny.
Oh, you've seen it? Or you're in the middle of it?
I'm going to, though.
Oh, you still want to watch it? Yeah.
I have to. It's kind of feel obligated.
Yeah. You were a part of that.
I'll be like this the whole time, though.
And you can't even share that with anyone. That was my idea, you guys.
Yeah.
Well,
right.
That idea visited you. It wasn't your idea. You could have caught that.
Could have caught it.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. So, do you think that, have you found yourself in a situation where you've maybe looked out for a young person, and so that you could maybe recreate the situation that you had with your teacher to help encourage someone young?
Kind of. No, not really. No. I would really want to, but I haven't. To tell you the truth, the time is very rare, because now that I'm trying to, look for someone to, help out, I realize how rare it is.
You're looking for someone to help?
I would like to, and I tried to, but I didn't know how exactly to go about doing that.
Well, maybe someone will watch this video. What do you think a creative title is to draw people to watch this video? Some young person that might be inspired.
I would have to think about that.
Yeah.
How to something. How to break in. How to stay motivated.
How to break in. I like that.
Yeah. We've actually spoken about a lot of different obstacles to get in the way. So, how to get it, over everything and into drawing.
I love that. How to get over everything and into drawing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. I like that.
I was looking, I was like, maybe I should, since if I'm going to start doing interviews, maybe I should look at people's, and we just got 5 more minutes to talk. Is that okay?
Cool.
I was like, maybe I should research people before I start talking with them. Is that what you do to interview someone? So, because we haven't had a conversation before, and so I looked at your Facebook, and you made a post about disease of despair. You said.
Oh yeah, diseases of despair.
Diseases of despair, and I thought that was really interesting. How you made a comment about through times of stress and pressure from society to maintain a certain level of prestige or finance or whatever, you know, the demand is unbearable, and there's not a lot of people to talk to about it because everyone's in the grind. And then they end up turning to unhealthy habits of escapism, like drinking or drugs. And how maybe if we maybe like I had a health. I feel like art is a healthy escapism. Like when I was young, and my environment was traumatic, and so I escaped into art. And so creativity, I think we need to like think creatively about creativity and how maybe you know, what can we do? What can we do, Alex?
I think a lot of the times, I think it's the effect of social media hitting us for the first time, where the economy is declining slowly. I mean, those two things have never existed hand in hand before.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, people don't ask for help because they post the best moments of their lives through Instagram. So everyone has this false view that everyone's okay, but really, it's not. Because if you're eating a nice meal every day, you're probably not taking pictures of every single meal. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I feel if people were more honest with themselves and not try to be so show-offy, people wouldn't feel so alone.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. It's kind of like in my line of work, where when I meet someone else, I'm not very shy about telling them how much I make, because when you're honest about that, you kind of like make an instant union, you know, out of nothing, where you can like team up and help each other, you know, and that type of honesty in the real world can help as well, because they'll be like, oh yeah, well, I'm on the same boat as you are, you know. But I think people just, I don't know if there's a shame behind it. I think there is, especially if you're a male, you know, with not having the ability to provide is probably one of the worst things you could take away from a guy, you know. And knowing how guys are when they're in that situation, they don't speak too much about it. And that was the main reason I wrote that, was because I just wanted everyone to know that, you know, all this is probably fake, and we're not all well. You know, especially in Ventura, like, when I was a kid, there was no homeless people here, you know, ever. And now there's tons, and people, it's so weird to me how I've become accustomed to it so quickly. And that's weird. You know. And, yeah, I'm just trying to do my best right now to know people, to know more people. Like, I think I grew up with a bad pair of friends, or a bad set of friends.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, I just need to communicate more, I think.
That's wonderful. Yeah. So I believe in the power of connection too. And that means like being okay with being vulnerable. And I feel that with social media and everyone seeing only the best moments of other people's lives, I don't know why that happened. Why do you think that happened? just because what is the tendency for people to only want to show, like, does it come from the media? Does it come from, like, oh, this is the ad I see, this is perfect, this is the commercial I see, look at that house, this is what I see, this is like, why?
Combination. I think it's a combination of people, like, it might feel good to show off.
Yeah.
And it feels accomplished when you get likes. I think I just want to live in the 90s again.
Yeah.
Not like literally, but the lack of digital stuff would be nice.
So do you make that, do you create your reality to have it like that? To have less digital stuff in your life?
Oh, yeah. I I don't have, like, Facebook on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
I have all my notifications turned off.
Nice.
I actually, I've been doing really good with not like using my phone a lot. And it all happened when I started, like, camping, like, by myself. I would go up and just stay out there, like, for 2 days. And it was a good, like, way to detox. So when I came back with a fresh pair of eyes, on the whole situation. And it kind of reinforced my feelings before I went camping. So that in turn solidified, just stay away from the phone and the computer. And also being a storyboard artist, you have to like stay away from the screen because you're there all day anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's many times where I even can't go watch movies because, like, it's just too much screen.
Yeah. Your eyes. You have to go out and look into the distance. And...
Yeah. You need to see in 3D.
Yeah.
Three-dimensional objects.
Is there anything that you want to say to any young, aspiring artist out there that might be hanging out, laying in bed, watching this talk for some reason?
Are they in bed right now at 4:38 p.m.?
Right now, well, we're not live, so no one's watching it right now. Yeah, and what if they were like so depressed and they were in bed at 4 in the afternoon?
Nothing lasts forever. If you're down, it's good because you can only go up after that,
Yeah.
So that's fine. And
nice.
So I think when you're a kid, honestly, too, when you're in 20s, it's hard to, like, sit down and focus when there's so many, like, opportunities to hang out and have a good time. Mm-hmm. And I think you should do that, too. But the key word when I was a kid was balance, because you can't do too much of that. But also, you don't want to miss out on that because you're only young for that moment, and there's so many cool young things you're going to do that you can't do when you're 50 or 40, A lot of cool first stuff,
Yeah. So
I think you should get that stuff, experience that, so you don't have any regrets later on in life. But also know that there's a very long future ahead of you. And if you mess up now, that part's going to suck. And it's much longer. And time doesn't fly. That's a lie.
That's such a great piece of advice.
It's very lingering. Yes. And it can get very cool. It can be very cool if you use your time wisely.
It can be very cool if you use your time wisely.
Yeah.
I think we did a great job.
Yeah, same here.
Thank you, Alex.
Okay. And if you need any, like if you mess up any of your footage, I'll put this clothes on the side and wear it again later on.
Oh, okay.
To do reshoots or whatever.
Can I put your website and your Instagram handle in the description so that people can look at your artwork?
Sure. Yeah. That's no problem.
Cool. So you are super, super talented, and I really, really enjoy seeing what you create and share.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Same to you.
Okay, so it's time to go, huh? It's been really long. It's been a great talk. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll tell you when the video's ready.
Thank you.